and you will have game day live from 12:30 this Saturday, the return of the Premier League with the North London Derby. Pleased to say Harry Symeou, I was going to say Spurs fan. Oh my god.
Oh my god. I'd have never forgiven you for that.
You're about to come over the desk.
I'd have walked out.
How are you feeling about it?
Nervous. Nervous because I feel that, like, even at this early stage in the season, there's a lot riding on it. I think whoever wins it, if anyone wins it, you get a big confidence boost. I think it sets the tone. I think for Arsenal, especially with Liverpool around the corner as well, that's our next Premier League fixture. You know, it would give us a real boost going into that game and put us in a position where people stop saying, oh, but Arsenal haven't been tested yet, or that they had one test at Man United and they got beat. I'm just sick of that narrative because the improvement is so clear. And to dismiss that based on the fixtures frustrates me.
I think the improvement has been so clear, and I think even non-Arsenal fans can watch what Arsenal are doing just now under Arteta and the squad that he's built and the players that he's got in just now and the football that they're playing, and actually be taken aback by it. But what you said there is true. They lost that test, you know, against Manchester United. I guess this North London derby is the start, the return of the Premier League, and that run up through to the World Cup as well, as we've got to now get points further on the board and not drop.
Yeah, it's the next test, and there's going to be plenty of tests along the way. That's the nature of the Premier League. I think the Man United test, where people say, you know, they lost it, it was a failure. I don't actually see it like that, because I came away from that game feeling almost sick to the stomach at the fact that we'd played so well and not got anything not got anything from that. And so when you're assessing the manager, the setup, the team he's put together, you look at it and you go, what more could Mikel Arteta have done himself? He set the team up in such a way that they went to Old Trafford and dominated, but they couldn't finish their dinner, as you like to say, and they ended up suffering off the back of that. You know, they got caught napping a couple of times because they were trying to win the game. Personally, my criticism that day was, at 1-1, accept the point, take the point, get out of Old Trafford with that, and happy days. But we tried to win it. You can't be critical of your team really for trying to win it.
No,
so it was a defeat that made me still feel proud, even though we lost the game. It's weird to explain.
No, I like it. I think it's a good thing to hear. Where can you get Spurs then? Where can you hurt them this weekend?
I think for me, we've got to try and catch them cold early doors. That's one of the strengths of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal team, is that they start games really, really fast. And particularly at home, they're able to do that with the atmosphere. They're able to kind of really generate this, as Mikel Arteta would call it, energy that helps. And I think with Spurs, what they want is essentially to sit off of this Arsenal team. What they want to do is get into their back five, tighten things up in the midfield and look to play on the counter-attack. And I think if you gain an early advantage, you take that game plan away from them. You completely blow that out of the water. And then they have to come out and play. And I don't think this Spurs team are particularly comfortable, particularly in games like this, when they have to do the front running, when they have to take the game to people. I think it's outside of Antonio Conte's comfort zone. And so if Arsenal can get an early advantage, I would be emphasising that so much in the dressing room.
The last 4 derbies have gone in favour of the home team. Do you see that remaining at the Emirates this weekend? Do you think that gives you that?
Yeah, I think, you know, as you say, the last 4 have gone that way, and I think it's been like that for quite a while. And it's probably extends more further back than that if you look at sort of at least the trend. So I'm confident that Arsenal aren't going to get beat. Don't know that I'll say that we'll go and win it though, because I'm worried about breaking down a stubborn defence. And I worry that if we don't get that early advantage that I mentioned, then the game sort of changes. And I've had that worry with Arsenal a few times this season when we've not started a game great. The Villa game was an example of that, where we pressured for ages, but it took a little while to get the breakthrough. Once it came, great. But up until that point, you're a bit nervous.
And also it's a North London derby, so you're getting a different side, that extra edge from players as well. One thing I think everybody's enjoyed seeing is watching the change of Granit Xhaka under Mikel Arteta with the additions that have come in. Xhaka seemed to up his game. He seems to have changed a lot as well. I've watched the documentary. I like him now. But he's still got a massive question mark from so many people about being a bit of a liability in games like this.
I think he was a liability at times when he was playing as that lone defensive midfielder. I think when you look at Granit Xhaka, if you was to come up with one criticism of him as a footballer, you'd say it's a lack of mobility at times. I don't mean in terms of his fitness, in terms of the ground he covers. I mean that sometimes he can get caught on a turn Sometimes, someone's a little bit too sharp for him. And also, he was often asked to drop in between the centre-halves, get the ball, turn and start moves. And there he would be exposed, because I thought sometimes he'd get caught out and then he'd put himself in a panic position where he had to make a silly challenge, silly foul, and we all know what happens after that. So I think this new role suits him so much more and means he's less likely to find himself on the edge of his own box having to make that type of challenge. So I think the liability factor has reduced significantly off the back of him moving further up the pitch.
I do appreciate what you're saying there, but he's had 5 red cards for Arsenal, and I think when you go into a North London derby, when it's as close as it is, he would give you the worry. I think he would.
I think that
he doesn't seem like he knows when to stay on his feet.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think
I watched him just before the international break. I'm like, why are you on the ground here? He was on a yellow. Why are you get up?
I don't think that's always true. Honestly, I don't. I think when you break down some of those red cards, I think some of them were unnecessary. Some of them were going into a challenge in a little bit of a heavy way and getting yourself into hot water.
Marked, that's the thing.
His card is marked. He will get booked after one challenge. Others will make 3 or 4. There's no question about that. That Granit Xhaka, that reputation that you're talking about, is something that follows him around, unfortunately, and it's not always true. I think against Spurs, there's going to be a few players on the pitch that you could talk about in that light. I think Richarlison, if he plays, is another one who will be right on the edge of that line. But if you take that away, if you curb that passion, that hot-headedness, it takes away so much from the derby. And sometimes it means that you don't have what you need to go on and win it, because you need that edge. It's a very fine line to walk. But I think Granit Xhaka, in his new position, is much better equipped to do that now than he was in the past.
And he seems like a better player there as well. It feels like you're getting the best version of Granit Xhaka in that position.
Yeah, because you're getting what Granit Xhaka is good at. What's he good at? He's got a nice left foot. He's got an eye for a pass. He helps the game move and flow. Not always a sort of defence splitting pass, but the type of pass that keeps the tempo going, keeps the rhythm flowing. That's what he does. And the assist that he produced at Brentford last time out was magnificent, because he gets into the right positions now.
What about Spurs? Are you concerned in any way whether you think they might expose Arsenal?
I think they might expose Arsenal on the break. I think they might expose Arsenal on the counter-attacks. My big fear. I think it's really important that we stop the service into Harry Kane, who's become brilliant in the last couple of years at dropping into holes and helping the ball on left or right for the likes of Son or probably Richarlison. I think Kulusevski's out. Yeah. So, that's the danger for me. It's that I expect Arsenal to have all of the ball, or most of the ball. I expect them to try and dictate the tempo. But one lapse in concentration, Kane, Son, they only need a chance.
And that's it. I mean, you could be dominant in possession the whole game and Spurs could get the win. That's the way it can go. Let's hear now from Spurs boss Antonio Conte. Despite the rivalry